Hi, my name's Gabriella, welcome to my channel. So a few days ago there was a bit of a discussion going on online about using mobile phones in theatres, and this is something I have quite strong opinions about because of something that isn't usually brought into the discussion and I don't actually think many people know about. So I wanted to make a quick little video, also with some other reasons as to why people are against people using mobile phones in theatres, and also just some general thoughts on the topic. So to start with, why you shouldn't use your phone in the theatre. For starters, when you first come into the theatre and before the performance, they have an announcement and usually posters up and actual staff walking around with signs saying, do not use your mobile phones during this. You're in this building and they're telling you not to use your phone, so why would you bring it out if you've been expressly told not to? It's like the whole list of things that are prohibited for taking in hand luggage when you go on flights. You may not see the sense in it yourself, but you're still gonna not take those things because it's the rules of the plane company. You're gonna follow the rules, so why would you go to the theatre and pay to go there and then not follow the rules? Secondly, it's distracting for the actors. I haven't been troubled too much by this before, but the frequency that I see it coming up on Twitter, Facebook, just everywhere online, people saying that they've been distracted by this, or like they can see the people in the audience with this. Like, it's a big problem, and yeah, it can be distracting, and obviously people in professional shows, they're professional and they'll keep going, but it's not nice to have that distraction there, and it's just a bit rude and inconsiderate. And it's also rude and disrespectful to your fellow audience members. Theatre isn't cheap, and some of these people are paying a lot of money to see it. And if they've got you and your phone somewhere nearby, illuminating light into the audience from some random place, it's so distracting. I love theatre, I see a lot of it, and there's honestly nothing worse than having another audience member making a lot of noise or creating light from their phone. I wouldn't quite go as far as to say it ruins the show for me, but it does make the experience less enjoyable. And sometimes you miss things that are happening on stage because someone's distracting you in the audience. So think about your fellow audience members. And the final reason that I'm going to talk about, which is one I feel a lot of people don't actually talk about that much, is that it messes with the audio backstage. Not like the big speakers and stuff, but the sound system that people backstage are using to communicate with each other. They've got little headsets and packs called cans. Now, I don't know if this is specific to all theatres, but I used to do technical theatre in school. We had basically a state-of-the-art theatre. Some of the technology was like more advanced than some drama schools had that me and my friends went to look around at the time. And so I'm assuming that we were using kind of industry standard headsets and things. Our theatre sat theoretically about 300, but you could fit like 500 people in there. And basically, if anyone was using mobile data on their phone, it created static in our headsets. It didn't, like, anywhere within the building, backstage, in the tech box, anywhere in the seating at all. If someone was using mobile data, we knew about it. It could really vary. Sometimes it would just be like a little crackle. Sometimes it would be blaring, like to the point where you had to take your headset off because you couldn't deal with it. And it's really annoying during shows, because when you're trying to talk to the stage manager and they're trying to get you ready to stand by and then go with your cue, if you can't hear what they're saying because of all this crackly static in your ear, then you might miss your cue, and so the show could quite literally be affected because someone is on their phone. I'm not entirely sure how it works and everything. I think it's something to do with like the cables from the headset like being out in the open or something. Or too close to where the phones are. So I'm not sure like if theatres use other systems that don't use cables plugged into the walls. But basically, whenever I go to the theatre, I always make sure that my phone is turned off. Not just on silent, but at the very least on silent and airplane mode. But usually just completely turned off. Obviously I don't know if all systems are the same. That's just my experience from one particular theatre, but I know that it can be an issue in some cases. So that's why I actually make sure that my phone is turned off and not just on silent. Now I do understand that when people are on their phones in the theatre, it's not always because someone's bored scrolling through Instagram. I get that some people have legitimate reasons for being on their phones or needing to check them throughout. I've seen a lot of tweets about this and like people stating why they personally need to use their phones. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm just saying, like, if you are one of those people and you have like a legitimate need to be on your phone for some of these things, I have 2 suggestions for you as to how you could possibly help make it a better experience for you and your fellow audience members. My first suggestion is to book into a relaxed performance of the show. Quite a few shows are doing these now, so if you don't know what a relaxed performance is, it's basically a special performance that the theatre puts on for audience members that could benefit from a more relaxed environment. So this kind of includes people on the autistic spectrum, those who have learning disabilities or sensory or communication disorders, as well as many others, and so it's just a lot more accepting environment. There's horrible stories I've heard of people being kicked out of regular performances because their autistic child was making a lot of noise and the theatre decided that wasn't okay. So with a relaxed performance, you're kind of expecting that the audience might be a little more noisy or potentially more disruptive to other audience members. So if you know that you're going to need to use your phone a lot, I would perhaps consider booking into one of these performances, because other audience members are going to be a lot more accepting that this is something that you need to do, as opposed to those who have booked into regular performances expecting to be able to sit there in the dark, in the quiet, with no distractions. I don't know for definite, I've never been to one, I just know that they're a thing, and so it could potentially be a suggestion that if you know you need to be in a position where you could be disturbing other audience members, you go to a performance that is kind of designated for people in that situation. My second suggestion is to simply book an aisle seat. That way, if you need to check your phone for more than a few seconds, you can get up without disturbing anyone, go to the back of the auditorium, go to the toilets, which are usually round the sides of the auditorium somewhere, and look at your phone without actually disturbing anyone, because you can just get up and go. And then it's also a lot easier to return to your seat. If you can't get exactly on an aisle seat, and potentially anyway, it might be a better idea if you know you're going to be needing to look at your phone a bit, to sit closer to the back so that there are less people behind you to get distracted by the light of your phone. Obviously it's not ideal to be on your phone. If a member of staff sees you on your phone, they will come over, tell you to turn it off, and in the process disturb audience members as well. I do realise there are some situations where people need to be able to use their phones, so hopefully one of these ideas that I've suggested is useful for you if you hadn't thought of it before. So I'd love to hear other thoughts on the topic. If I've missed anything, if you have any more suggestions that I hadn't thought of, any other reasons that we don't necessarily know about, for example my one about it actually disturbing the audio, I don't think that's talked about a lot. If you have any other reasons that are like that, then I'd love to hear them. Otherwise, make sure to give the video a like and subscribe to stay updated when my next videos come out. Till next time, bye!